The only plans I saw, I don't think they were the final plans.
No, we saw some too, Chris.
Right, yeah.
They weren't even close to final.
Right, and actually,
Is there another hearing?
they're still not,
Is it done?
The hearings continued to February 26th.
okay. Have they got final plans done yet?
Yeah. I mean,
Updated plans from...
The plans that are on file right now are what as final as you're gonna get, with the exception of some stormwater. That's all subsurface, so you probably won't recognize a difference on the plan. But I mean, there is, to answer your question, there is one final plan coming out, but it's going to be very minute from a surface observation. It's just for some underground drainage structures and whatnot.
From the plan that we saw in December, was it December? Must have been early December. Did they change the parking or any of that?
The last plan was submitted at our last meeting, which was, you probably know, because you go to one.
It was in January.
A few weeks ago.
It was 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. That plan was the last one that was submitted, and they need to do another revision, but it's minor revisions, mainly for the stormwater management. But as far as building placement and what they're talking, fire department access, EMS rescue, it's all been pretty much addressed. They need to show it on the plan, a couple of the minor things that we brought up at the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, we
As far
have
as the usage itself, the planning board, as you know, can't take a stance on the usage.
Right.
Strictly the permitting as far as from the physical aspect of it.
It might encourage you to know that I was at a meeting this weekend at the conference where they talked about the Dover Act and the fact that it has been overturned.
Been appealed, yeah.
Appealed, yeah, successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of concerns, reading and doing a lot of research. You know, like I asked at the last meeting, where's a designated smoking area? You know, like, we should have more information. McLean has a handbook for every facility that they have. And like I tried to get the Board of Health on board, some of the things are more serious than other. Some of the hospitals, the one in Ashburnham, they're able to self-administer their medication. McLean Hospital is a hospital that gets people out of rehab by narcotics. They medicate themselves out of rehab. Some of the medication that they use is a form of meth. So if you're able to self-administer your medication, and these clients are all going to have their own cars, they're able to come and go out of the neighborhood, you know, it makes me worry. As of now, they're going to be building their gazebo near my property line, which they admitted at the last meeting after they mingled together, that's their designated smoking area. So I said, okay, I have an issue for that. I have small kids, I don't want secondhand smoke, and I have one child that is very ill. The hospital had no comment. The Board of Health, I went to Boston Children, got my research, got my paperwork for my son. Well, it's 45 feet from the property line. The wind blows in an opposite direction.
Not always.
And now that took me a month and a half of going in there and phone calls. Only did I get a call back because I had a lawyer call the office. Today I get a call back at 4:30 because he knew I was showing up today. You know, it makes me concerned that not everybody's on board looking at it. It's been going on for months.
Yeah.
The selectmen haven't looked at the plans.
Well, we have. I mean, I looked at the second set of plans that they had.
Yeah, Virginia's been...
Virginia's been at the meetings. I haven't been. But I think when we discussed it before, the reason why we haven't really taken a vote is we will have no power over this. No matter, you know, whatever they decide. We can't really void it if they're doing everything legally. That's not a select.
But you have to make sure they are. Certain, you know, what's going to be education to use the Dover Act, what they are going to be educating hours. It has been appealed and it has won. Why are they using the Dover Act here? They did not use it in Princeton and they didn't use it in Ashburnham. Why? Princeton is on 6 acres. The square footage of the building is bigger than what this proposal is going to be, and it houses 8 to 10 people. That's it. You're talking smaller square footage, a way smaller piece of land with 22 residents that are going to stay 10 to 14 days. That's a lot of traffic coming in and out. You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, you have to research to see what's going on. And, you know, Princeton, like they said, it had 16 calls for a fire and ambulance in 1 year. 16 calls for 8 to 10 residents. You're going to have 22. That's a huge difference. You know, can the town...
They didn't go down on their number at all, did they? Nobody?
No.
No,
No,
22
occupancy number,
residents.
yeah.
As far as planning, and I understand her concerns, but we send it out to all the boards in town. If
Right.
Nobody gives us any feedback, like the Board of Health issue or
Yeah.
whatnot. We only can go on what we have to get back, you know, and there's limited stuff as to what we can rule on. If the Board of Health has a serious issue, then we would make that part of the conditions or preconditions of the thing that they would have to satisfy or whatnot. With the exception of getting a letter back from Conservation stating there's no wetlands on the site, the planning board is really just chiming this thing out, and we're trying to take as much, I'm chairman of that board as well, but trying to take as much comment, and a lot of the comment doesn't really pertain to planning, but I've just been trying to let people air their concerns the best we can, but we're still obligated to fulfill the applicant's permit, his due diligence as far as submitting a plan and paying the money to have it done. But if she does, as far as the Dover Act, I mean, every permit is appealable, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I would say is that if you,
When's your next meeting?
the 26th of February.
And the
And that
way-
should be, I mean, just so, I mean, I can't say until that meeting,
February 11th.
until that meeting comes.
No hours.
But, I mean, if all the information is in that we asked for at the last meeting, we're probably going to close the public hearing unless something else comes up, or they comply with what we asked them. And we're actually fighting for anything, I think it's taken longer than normal, but it's because they weren't prepared to come in and deal with us as far as everything we asked for. But they have been working with the peer review engineer, Whitman and Bingham, that we hired with their money to represent the town. But when they're done engineering, we can't not issue it because a possible Board of Health issue, I'm not accusing, I'm just hypothetical, isn't addressed, because if we don't get wind of it ourselves from the Board of Health, we just look at it as it's a non-issue from their perspective, because no one's getting back to us.
Okay.
I think what she's looking for is that, after calling Senator Brewer's office, he was looking for a sense of whether the Board of Selectmen was behind,
Exactly.
a fight against this thing.
Yeah.
And he won't do anything until he has that
Exactly.
sense of, what where we're at with it.
Yeah, I
The
don't know
other,
what he can do anyway, but.
well, the other thing is, the only way that this other one was appealed successfully is that the Board of Selectmen took it upon themselves to write and ask for specific information from the people that were building the place, such as what percentage of their time is spent in education, specifically what education, what does their curriculum look like?
Yeah.
And those questions couldn't be asked, and that's why they
Well,
lost.
even at the meeting when we asked what a success rate, he wouldn't answer it. He just said,
Exactly.
there's a huge turnaround, people come in and out. So, and it's a safety concern as well. Between Sunrise and Mountain View, you have over 30 houses with one street light. Now you're gonna have 22 clientele walking the neighborhood. And these people are dual diagnosed, so not only do they have a substance abuse, they have some other psychiatric issue.
Or potentially, he says.
Yeah, so,
Well, couldn't the planning board ask them to put more, pay to have streetlights put up?
I asked at the meeting if McLean Hospital could at least turn on every other street light throughout the neighborhood to make it more safer. Nothing was done. And it is a bus stop
Yeah.
for the schools as well.
Could we take this under advisement and have it on our next, I believe, the 11th, February 11th, which is before the hearing, so that we can come up and try to figure out what questions we should ask?
Right, and get it to us for our next hearing.
You know, I think we
And
should
if we
see
have to
their
continue-
plans, you know.
Right.
And if we have to keep the dialogue open, we will, you know what I mean, as far as
Yeah.
continuing again.
And if you have a list of
I
things
would
that
say,
you want
can
us
you
to
give us
look
a
for.
list?
Sure.
I can help you with that.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
Because they
Information.
do have handbooks for each of their facilities where they have guidelines that have to go. You know, they have their visitors, you know, like our issue is parking. When they were out there doing the perk test, I've got a huge truck with a tractor trailer behind it and someone else. My small car could fit through. A bus stop, a bus? No. So where are the vehicles gonna go while they're adding this huge addition on? You know, there's a lot of concern and it's a small residential area.
Right.
And their other facilities are not in a place like that,
Did we
so
go
you
anywhere
can't
with finding
compare.
out if we had any,
Resources and buy it.
any national,
Yeah.
Historical significance,
Historical.
even if it was on the state, if it was registered with the state, or even on a national register, the town of Templeton does not have its own local ordinance that, or set of guidelines to recognize it. So literally, to answer your question, no, it could be the most historical significant landmark in the country.
I mean, the
But
house
Templeton
was built in
doesn't
the
have,
1700s.
Templeton doesn't have its own set of underlying bylaws to recognize state and federal statutes for protection. Restriction doesn't mean anything. We can't enforce it because we don't have a bylaw in place to enforce it. And that's if it was, and actually I think it was on.
It's on the.
It is on the
national.
state, but you said you
The
were gonna
whole
look
road
into
is
it.
on the national from one part to another.
Templeton doesn't have its, it
So
has to be a bylaw.
if you can get us
Yeah.
a list and work with Virginia or whatever, and we'll talk about it February 11th and maybe get a vote, you know, a vote of confidence or a vote of no
Yeah,
confidence.
because I've been in contact with Senator Brewer's office probably about 15 times,
I haven't got in contact with the representative?
and nothing's.
The representative too.
Yeah, have you talked to our new state rep, Denise Andrews?
We have, yes. I actually, when I got nowhere with the Board of Health at Boston Children with my son, he said, all right, let's sit down, let's make a phone call right here. Nobody wants to listen? Let's see if I can get him to listen. And we got, oh, Templeton. That was what we got. Another issue.
From where? From where? Department of Revenue.
So,
We're trying to fix all that.
All right. Anything else for new business? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
We got none.